What's up, guys? Welcome back. So if you weren't here earlier, I had started a stream that I was going to do another iFlash install and PixelFX gem install. And unfortunately, the PS2 that was sent in by the customer was getting no power. So I had to stop the stream and reach out to the customer and see how they wanted to proceed. And the customer gave me the go-ahead to do some diagnostics on it and try to fix it. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to try to fix this PS2, get power working again. And then we're going to proceed to install the iFlash and the Retro Gem kit. So first thing we're going to do is disassemble the rest of the shielding so that we can get down to access the fuses and basically check each fuse to see if any fuses are blown. If there are any blown fuses, then we're going to check the voltage, we're going to check the power rails that are connected to those fuses to see if there's any shorts or anything like that that would explain why the fuses blew. So, and then if there are any shorts, then we've got to try to find out what the likely culprit is, which component is bad, and replace it. I do have a couple of donor boards over here for some PS2s that are otherwise not working. So if we need to salvage parts off of it, the donor boards that I have over here are potentially an option for us to salvage parts. So, all right. Let's go ahead and take this thing apart, and we'll see if we can figure out what exactly has gone wrong here. Okay, so with a PS2 with no power, there are a bunch of different fuses you can check, but the first one that I like to check is PS1. PS1, I'm actually not sure what voltage rail PS1 is responsible for, but I do know that if that fuse is blown, you won't get a power LED. There won't be any light on the power LED at all. So I think that has something to do with the lowest level of the system's controls. I'm just not sure what exactly the voltage rail is that it's responsible for. But the PS2 definitely won't boot. It won't give you any power at all if there's no connection here. And there is power. This fuse is good. PS1 is good. So that rules out PS1. PS1 is not the problem. So the issue has to be on one of the other fuses somewhere else. So we're gonna go ahead and go through all the fuses and just check each one until we find something that's got a problem. So the main fuse we checked earlier, it's good. And we have power to the DC jack as well. So whatever is wrong is not located here. The next one we'll move to is PS3. Okay, that fuse is good. PS15, which is good. Okay, we'll move on to PS6. Okay, it seems like PS6 might be blown. No, it's not. I just wasn't getting a good connection to it. Okay. Let's see, PS2. That fuse is good. Try PS13. And that's good. PS17. That one's good. PS8. That one's good as well. Okay, we'll go down here. So we already checked PS1. That one's good. PS7, good. I know this isn't going to be a problem, but PS11 is good. See, PS14, that's the 3.3 volt rail, and that one is good. Okay, then we've got PS4 over here, which is good, and PS5 here, which is good. So all the fuses are good. So the issue is not a blown fuse. So it needs to, there must be something else going wrong here besides a fuse having blown. So what we're gonna do now, so I'm gonna switch the multimeter over to voltage mode, and we'll plug the PS2 in, and we'll probe around and see what voltages we have on the board. Okay, so I've got it plugged in. Let's see. See if I can get my multimeter in view here. Okay. So now you should be able to see what I'm doing. So we're gonna go ahead and get just a ground point right over here. And then we'll check here. Huh. That's interesting. You know what? This PS2 is actually... You know what's happened? A piece of the power adapter has broken off inside of this plug. That's why we're getting no power. Because I can't plug the power plug all the way in. If you look, I didn't notice this before. Back at the back here, there's a chunk of plastic from another power adapter that's stuck inside of there. Let's see if I can poke that out. There you go. That is the tip of an old power adapter that was stuck inside of this DC jack. Okay. Now if we plug this back in, I think we're gonna be fine. Yep. Well, that's a stupid issue. Well, I'm not gonna charge the customer for that. That was a bit too easy. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, that just sheared right off inside of there. Okay, well, now that that's sorted out, let's go ahead and pop the shield back on top of here. And we'll just do a quick test just to make sure everything's working, everything else is working with this motherboard before we start modding. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to game capture and we'll see how this PS2 is doing. Okay, I've got it on RGB. I'm pretty sure this is probably running on component. No? Okay, it's not running on component. Let's see. Huh, that's strange. We're getting a black screen. Okay, this could be my retro chink. Let me reset it. Okay, yeah, it was just my retro tink. Every now and then I have to unplug and replug my retro tink. I don't know why. It just stops working sometimes. All right, let's see if it'll boot a disk. Yep. Works with free DVD boot, so the laser is good. All right, I'll call that a good test. We can go ahead and start doing the install. So as always, we're going to start with the iFlash2PS2 kit. I'm going to move over to the microscope for this. All right. Okay, we'll go ahead and anchor this down so that we can work easily. Wow, this flex is being real difficult today. I don't think I got it lined up right. I think I got it a little too far away from the pads. There we go. Okay. That all looks good now. There we go. Okay, looks all good. Well, Thomas, best of luck to you on that. All right. Go ahead and get our power board installed. Okay, as always, we want to check the SD card alignment before we lock in the rest of those solder points. Yep, it's good. Okay, power board's locked in. No, this I'm using a V12 here because this customer actually bought their kit originally when the first sale was going on, and so this kit has just been sitting here waiting for the PS2s to arrive. I don't have any more V12s besides the ones that have already been sold. Now, I already prepped this iFlash board last time we streamed because I was intending to get both of these consoles installed that day. So there's no prep work to do here. I don't know. I guess. I don't know. I don't know why you'd want the V12 version. It's just less compatible. There's literally no disadvantage to the V13 Universal kit. Well, Thomas, whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong about your name, but you say it sits more naturally in the first vent. However, have you considered that the being in the first vent makes it asymmetrical, whereas being in the middle vent makes it symmetrical, so it's better because of symmetry. Just a thought. Okay, Tom, we'll go with Tom. Anyway, what do you say about that? Symmetry. We're human beings. We love symmetry. So therefore, the V13 is better. Okay, let's fire this up real quick and just check that the SD card is being detected. And then we'll move on to the gem install. All right, let's see what we got. There it is. Hard drive detected. Okay, so the iFlash install is done. Let's move on to the retro gem. So I've got a couple of changes I'm making to my install strategy this time that hopefully should make the process easier. Because the way that the PixelFX guide says to do this, the more I think about it, the more I feel like they've got some of the steps out of order as far as what would be easiest. So we're going to give it a try doing it in a slightly different order than what they recommend. Okay, to start, we'll go ahead and prep our jumpers. Okay. Apparently the solder mask between these two jumpers is really doing overtime today. There we go. Okay, we'll install the backing. Well, look, guys, you do what you have to do to make a design that's universally compatible. I mean, obviously, I like the original positioning of the V12 board because that's how I designed it originally, but it can't be there and be compatible with V13s. So, the V13 design was a compromise that had to be made. And you got to understand that from my perspective, keeping multiple different versions of this board in stock for V12 and V13 is just not feasible. Because, you know, I can have, you know, 1,000 made of a universal board, and it doesn't matter how many people have V13s or V12s. But if I'm trying to keep two different product lines available for two different versions that are basically the exact same, except for, you know, slight different variation in the layout of the board, it's too complicated. It's too complicated, it's too expensive. And also it creates customer service issues because inevitably somebody's going to order the V12 version and have a V13 motherboard and, you know, stuff like that. Come on. Come on, Retro Gym Plastic. There we go. Let's see. All right. Well, it'd be really convenient if I could find my wide pliers, but I can't find them, so I guess we're gonna have to use these needle nose to bend this. I have a nice set of wide pliers that are really good for doing metal bending like this, but I don't know where they are right now. I have a tendency to move tools around as I use them and then leave them wherever I used them last, and sometimes that's not here in my little workspace. It's a bad way to be. I don't recommend doing it, but it is my nature. I have two 1 terabyte cards listed on the website. There's the Lexar 1 terabyte, the Lexar Play 1 terabyte card, and then there's the PNY Pro Elite 1 terabyte. Both of those work great. I have tested other 1 terabyte cards that don't work. The Team Group Elite or Team Group Pro something or other, that did not work. And then the Silicon Power 1 terabyte did not work. And the SanDisk Ultra 1 terabyte did not work. So right now, the known 100% known working cards are the Lexar Play 1 terabyte and the PNY Pro Elite 1 terabyte. Okay, let's see. About your comment about the reset wire. Um, yeah, I can pass it through the flex. It does fit. It's just, I usually don't because I don't have a lot of room to work there. Usually you have to trim a little bit of the plastic out of the way. On the for it to be routed under the PCB, or for it to be routed under the 3D printed bracket, which, I mean, maybe it would look a little bit nicer, but I think from a convenience and serviceability perspective, I would prefer to have the reset wire out, you know, with a little bit of slack on it, so you could get to it if you needed to later. Okay, that's the retro gem installed in place. Let's go ahead and start with the soldering. Okay, so one of my ideas to streamline this process a bit is going to be, instead of installing the controller flex like this, I'm going to start with it flipped over, and then I'll solder it in place where it's supposed to be soldered, and then I'll bend it afterwards, which should make it, I think that'll make it easier to install. I don't really see an advantage to flipping and to doing this side first and then twisting it over after. That's just what they tell you to do in the instructions, so that's what I've been doing, but yeah, this feels significantly easier. As far as the Modbo 5, I've noticed I've had several people have already done it, so I assume that I wouldn't imagine there'd be any issues with it. The only issues possibly could be if there are any conflicts with OPL when running a Modbo 5, which I really don't know of any. This is where I'm going to depart from the instructions. At this point, the install instructions tell you to go ahead and install the little extension flex that goes around the other side to connect to the main flex. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to move that to the end after the main flex is already installed, because I have had a lot of trouble connecting those two flexes on the other end, and I have a feeling it's going to be easier to do it in reverse than the way the instructions tell you to do it. While we're on this side of the board, we'll go ahead and run the reset line as well. As far as mod chips go, I guess the only advantage that I'm aware of at this point is the fact that there are still some games that have compatibility issues with OPL. So a mod chip is a good backup, method that you have available to you to play a disc-based game. If you have a game that's not compatible with OPL and is also not able to be patched with like ESR patcher or free DVD boot. But I don't know how big that list is at this point. I'm not sure that it's worthwhile to worry about it, honestly. All right, so we're gonna move on to the main flex here and get that installed. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and hit this with resin so we don't repeat the last time. Don't think that cured very well. Oh no, there is a layer that is cured. Oh, I can see it now. Yeah. This is the cheap stuff, so it doesn't cure super hard. There's always like a gummy layer on the top. But the core of the resin does cure, so it should be fine. All right, let's go ahead and get this flex positioned. Alrighty, that looks like we're done with soldering. We're going to double check a few things here with the multimeter. One of the things that makes these Pixel FX flex cables difficult to solder compared to a lot of the other ones that you find out there is they're a little bit thicker than usual. So that extra thickness makes it harder to get good, solid contact to the flex and the board. Like the pins and the flex, if that makes any sense. They're just a little trickier to work with than most. Okay, seems like we're good. We got no shorts, and all of the pads are connected to all the pins, so I would call that a success. Alright, so because we didn't install that little extension flex earlier to the control flex, it should be easier to install this now because it's not going to be having to be twisted all around. I should be able to just line this up. Yeah, oh, come on. Just line it up. Well, it is still a little tricky, but surely this will be easier. Yeah. Yeah, that lined up much easier. Yeah, that's the way to do it right there. That is definitely the way to do it. Because whenever I flip this flex back over and solder it on the other side, it's going to be way easier to manage than doing it the reverse way. Yeah. Oh my gosh. There we go. For that connection, it's I just use 30 gauge Kyner wire. This camera right here is a microscope camera, so you're looking through my microscope. But when we do the stuff that doesn't require me to be able to see as close up, then we switch to an overhead camera. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and make the bends that I need to make. All right. Now we'll flip over and take care of the other side of the board. Unbelievable. I promise this is an easier way to do it than the official way. But I made a mistake there. I got ahead of myself. All right, we're done with all of that. So we can go ahead and test the retro gem. The magnification of the telescope is it's a 4x all the way out to something. I can't remember. I think it's like 4x to 32x. So depending on where I'm at on there, it's one of those. Okay, we have to make another minor modification to the shield. We got to take off these little tabs here. Okay, I haven't hooked up the SPDIF wire yet. We're gonna test first. Make sure everything's good on the RetroGem install, and then we'll hook up the SPDIF wire, because if I have to take this apart again, I don't want to keep soldering and unsoldering that wire over and over again like I did last time. Okay, let's give it a shot. We got all hearts. All right, looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and reassemble and make sure nothing changes once we get all the screws in. But I think we're gonna have no problems with this one. Let's go down here and install that SPDIF wire. We're not gonna have any issues. Yeah, I'm not worried about pressing down on it, because I know why. I know what the source of the issue was that on that last one, and that was because we didn't have those components masked off. So pushing down on it pressed the flex down far enough that it would make contact. Those pads would make contact and short out. But we've completely addressed that issue by using the resin. Yeah, PCI Tech, I know. I have done a couple of these installs without applying any kind of, you know, masking for those component legs. But I think it was just, honestly, I think it was just bad luck. I think that technically it's possible for the flex cable to make contact with those, but I just got lucky before. Because you know, it could even come down to a variation in the way that the flex cables are manufactured. There could have been a little bit, the contact pads could have been a little bit longer on that flex than they are on a normal or on the other flexes that I've worked on, and it just was enough to make just the slightest bit of contact. But, you know, we can completely avoid that issue in the future if we just mask those pads off. But the guide really needs to say that you have to do that because the guide for the other models of PS2 Slim do say to mask those components off, but it doesn't say that on the V12 70012 version, which is what these all have been. Well, actually, even the V13. Well, no. The V13s don't have the DAC chip on the bottom or on the top. They have them on the bottom. So that they do say to do that for the V13s, but for all these V12s, it doesn't say in the instructions to mask those components. So that really needs to be added to the instructions. Maybe it's one of those deals where they haven't experienced it as a consistent problem either, so it's just nobody knows, and I just got unlucky and had like the worst stack of like stacking tolerances. That's what I think happened. I think I got the perfect stack up of tolerances where that flex cable was able to touch those pads even though it's not normally supposed to be able to. Sometimes these things happen, and if you can take an extra precaution to avoid that ever happening again, then you do. And that's what I've decided to do here, is just use the resin to make sure that that doesn't happen again. All right. We're going to go ahead and do another test here in just a second. I'm going to fire up the SD card. We're going to load some games. Well, a game, Metal Gear Solid 3. But before that, we're going to modify the shell so that we can close the lid on this thing. So we need to clip here and here. And we need to clip here. And we need to do, let me see how far back I need to go. I forget how much of this I need to cut away. Let's see. Come on, where's that picture? Where is that picture? Okay, well, I'm scrolling through the guide and I can't find that picture, so I don't know how. I know that picture is in this guide. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure it's just back to right about here. So we're gonna go with that. Okay, that should be good. Let's go ahead and fire up a game. Uh, okay, we're all good on the self-test.
After the end of World War II, the world was split into two, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
Got no issues putting pressure on it. So while it's running, we'll go ahead and put in the screws. Seal it up.
Altitude 30,000 feet. Approaching Soviet airspace.
20 minutes to drop off.
Commencing internal depressurization. Equipment check. Arm main parachute.
All right. You ready to go?
Drop zone still showing a high pressure mass. Cav okay.
Good. We've got high visibility. Put out that cigar. Connecting oxygen hose to interior connector. Put on your mask.
Well, there you go. That's a PS2 with a retro gem. This is what the retro gem looks like on the back there. Pretty nice.
Does this panty waste know what he's doing?
I do really like the way that that Pixel FX designed the retro gem to fit into the PS2 Slim, because using the phone line jack as a location is just really great. It looks clean. It's good. But anyways, yeah, that's basically it. No issues this time, as it should be. Just took better precautions with the install procedure than last time.
6 minutes to drop off.
So anyways, looks like we're good. Oh, let's go ahead and install. They send with the retro gem, they send this little 3D printed piece here that's supposed to go in the back of your PS2 to prevent you from opening the disc tray all the way, so that you don't accidentally damage the HDMI cable, because the way that this lines up, the HDMI cable can be hit by the door, and you could potentially damage the port or something like that. So they got this little 3D printed piece that's supposed to prevent you from being able to open the door too wide.
Is one for the history books. The world's first Halo jump. 10 seconds to drop off. Stand by. Status okay. All green.
Prepare for drop off. countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Spread your wings
And fly. God be with you.
Okay, so with this piece in place on the back, your drive lid can only open this far open, so it doesn't interfere with the HDMI port at all. So that's what that's for.
Jack, I've got some important news.
But anyways, that pretty much does it for this one.
No, the virtuous mission.
Looks like we're all good. Does anybody have any questions before I sign off tonight?
Virtuous mission. Sounds like some kind of initiation ritual.
Don't get cocky. This isn't a training op.
Obviously, this was a lot smoother.
So what exactly is this wonderful mission?
Well, about 2 years ago.
I can't help you with settings on the Retro Gym. I have a system set up with the Retro Gym in here, but I haven't played it at all. So I have no recommendations. But if other people have it, then a good stress test after install. Well, I like to run Metal Gear Solid 3. I think it's a good stress test because the opening cutscene is a combination of in-game, like in-engine rendering and FMV playback. So you can kind of test that the FMV playback is working, which means that you're getting the correct speed on your SD card. And then also you've got in-engine rendering, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is pretty demanding, so you get to see that everything is working under stress when it's not in the FMVs. So I usually just let this opening portion of Metal Gear Solid 3 run all the way through, and then once it's done that, I mean, you're looking at like, it's like a half hour. It's like a half hour that the game will just go through, cycle through FMVs and in-game cutscenes, so it seems like a good test to me.
Country and his family behind and went over the fence?
Not exactly.
Yeah, PCI Tech, we're gonna do the, actually want to do that video tomorrow. My idea is that I'm going to basically record it in OBS just like I would with a stream, and then I'm just gonna trim it down to make it as clean as possible. So,
We got Sokolov over in one piece, but the whole ordeal.
but should be pretty straightforward. I'm basically going to go over how to set up the SD card and how to set up the memory card if you don't have a memory card set up for free MC boot and OPL and everything. So, and we'll go over how to use the stock version of OPL and how to use the Grim Doomer EX-FAT version of OPL as well. Oh! Something I forgot to do on this Retro Gym. We need to pop this open again real quick. I forgot to install the antenna for Wi-Fi. So we'll go ahead and shut it down, pop it open again, and put in that antenna real quick. I sell HDMI mods for the Wii. I have the Wii HDMI mod that I designed. That's the only mod that I have. That's the only HDMI mod that I've designed that I sell. But I do also have some GC Dual boards for sale right now for GameCube if you want to get a game. But I didn't design the GC Dual. That was designed by Dan, the guy who actually is part of Pixel FX, who designed this Pixel FX gem as well. But The Wii HDMI is the only one I've got. And that one is just, I only did the board layout for it. The firmware is done, is just a standard GC video firmware. So it's not super, my mod is not super impressive because I only did just the board layout. I mean, it's a good mod. I like it. If you were gonna HDMI mod a Wii, it's the one I recommend. I might be a bit biased, but I think it's better than the other options out there on the market. All right, that's the Wi-Fi antenna installed. Retro Gem for Wii? As far as I know, the Retro Gem is not compatible with the Wii. I know they just added Dreamcast support to it, but I haven't seen anything about Wii support. As far as I know right now, my mod and the Electron Shepherd AV HDMI mod are the only Wii compatible HDMI mods on the market. I mean, sure, if somebody sends me a Retro Gem to install into a Wii, I'll do it. The only reason I designed the Wii HDMI mod is because there was no, like, after the Dan produced the GC Dual for a little while, and after that there was no HDMI mod for the Wii at all. So I was looking at the situation and I was like, well, man, we really need a Wii HDMI mod, so I just designed one myself. But, yeah, but I mean, I don't have any particular allegiance to it, except for that I make it, so I like to sell them whenever I do. But if somebody wants to send in a Pixel FX gem for me to install into a Wii once that's available, absolutely, I'll do it. Okay, let's fire this back up again just to make sure that nothing went wrong in that brief period that we had it open. Oops. Forgot to put you on game capture. Yep. Looks good. Alrighty, well, at this point, we shall truly call it for the night. But I appreciate everybody who dropped by to check it out. I think it was a good stream to show, even though there wasn't an issue even though the PS2 didn't actually have a power supply, or like a power issue, I at least went over how to check the fuses to see if there is an issue with one of the fuses. Tom, you want me to check something? What is it that you want me to check? The software version on that Retro Gem, let's see. 2.6.1.17.
World War II, the world was split into two, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era
I don't have any replacement CR2032 batteries that would fit for the PS2. I think you have to have a special... there's like a holder. I think somebody makes a mod for the battery holder that allows you to use a regular CR2032, but I don't have any of those, whatever that is. Thing with the PS2 is that I don't really see what the point is with the CR2032. I don't really see what the big deal is on replacing it. It's only used for the real-time clock. And maybe there are some games. I mean, Metal Gear Solid, I think, is one of the games that uses the real-time clock. Metal Gear Solid 3 for the end fight. But I don't know. Maybe there are other games that really rely on the real-time clock. I don't know. But yeah, there is some sort of an adapter available for putting just regular CR2032s into the PS2. I just don't have anything like that here. But anyways, looks like we're all good. Like I said, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Sorry about the kind of false start we had earlier today, but we got it sorted. And Seaman 2, you know what? I bet Seaman 2 relies on the real-time clock. All right, well, I'll catch you guys next time. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get that the SD card setup video out tomorrow. I'm gonna try to get it out by the end of the day tomorrow, so you'll see it if it happens. All right, well, I'll catch you guys later.